Hey YouTube, and welcome to my first review. It's the review of the classic Super Nintendo game Super Mario World. First thing I would like to tell you is if you want more information on if you have any requests or something like that, then just read the video description and send me a message or something like that, and I'll try to get back to you. Now, Super Mario World is an extremely fun game. It's not hard per se, but it's difficult at times to complete, even though it's an older game, and the simplicity of it seems, stunning at times. But it really is somewhat difficult to complete if you're trying to complete it 100% through. First thing I would like to say is, for a Super Nintendo game, it is pretty big. Now, compared to today's games, it's not that big, and it's kind of small in comparison, but for that day, it's a large game. Around 75 levels. This game is somewhat difficult and frustrating at times. The gameplay is pretty simple. You are you play as Mario or Luigi, and you can ride on Yoshi's back, and you are able to, you jump on enemies like you do in the old games, and you can get different power-ups such as the flower or the cape, and the flower allows you to shoot fireballs out at your enemies and destroy them, which works against some of the ones that you can't jump on. And then there's the cape, which allows you to fly and do all different kinds of attacks and stuff. So it's really not that much of a gameplay experience, but it's really fun to do and experiment at times. And it's overall pretty fun, especially if you have a Super Nintendo like I do. Second thing is the storyline is pretty simple. Now, the thing I like about this is that it follows the storyline of the original Super Mario Bros. 3, where if you have played Super Mario Bros. 3, at the end of it, Bowser and his kids fly off in a ship and eventually crash into Dinosaur Land, or Yoshi's Island, as a lot of people would call it. And this just so happens to be the place where Luigi, Mario, and Peach end up going on vacation. So it's pretty good, and near the end of the game you will encounter a sunken ghost ship, which happens to be the ship from Super Mario Bros. 3, which has crashed into the sea of Dinosaur Land. So it's a pretty good storyline, even though it's small and it's simple. The graphics for this game, compared to today's games, are really puny, but they're fun. They're colorful, and they're not trying to overdo it, exceed their limits, like Sonic, which I'm not a big fan of Sonic, so a lot of people say it has superior graphics. I like these simple graphics better than that, but it's really not a big issue here. They're good. The animation is good enough, and it's a fun experience overall if you're into those types of graphics and the old games. The difficulty of the game, as far as levels go, is pretty hard. Their regular levels are not extremely difficult, but it all depends on where you are at the time in the game. That will determine how hard it is, but sometimes you'll be really far into the game and the level will just be extremely easy, while earlier in the game, the level might be pretty hard. It all depends. And there are bonus levels where you must complete something in order to get farther in the game, or else you're basically just sitting there wondering what to do. And at times in the game you'll encounter, like most of the levels that you go to will have a flashing yellow light that will tell you what type of level it is. If it's yellow, then it's just a regular level with one exit. If it's red, then it's a multi-exited level where you must find a key and its keyhole in order to get to a bonus level or to a pipe or something like that, which will take you to a different spot in the game. And plus there's things like Star World, which is a Star Road, which is a big star in the sky where you must complete these levels and their tests in order to get to another place, which is a really hard world, which I have yet to complete in my version of the game, and it's pretty difficult around that time if you get to it. But the castles and stuff are pretty simple, and they're not totally difficult. I have to say that I find a lot of the castles before Bowser's Castle harder than Bowser's Castle is, and Bowser's Castle just really disappointed me. There was a lack of difficulty, I think, in there, and I beat it on my first try, even when I was a kid. And I just recently got it Super Nintendo and started playing it. I still beat it on my first try. It was pretty easy. The bosses are not extremely hard. They're kind of like regular enemies where you must jump on their heads to beat them or defeat them, but at times, like in the very first boss, Iggy Koopa, you can jump on his head, but it will not kill him. You have to knock him off this platform that he's walking on in order to defeat him. Now, Bowser was harder than a lot of the other Koopas, but he was not hard as in like what he attacked you with, but there were times in his battle where there would be flames falling from the sky and you'd have to dodge those, and with Mario's sliding that he does often, if you're running fast, you'd often slide into a flame and die. So it gets kind of frustrating at times, but there's also fortresses in the game where they're optional, of course, but if you want to complete the game 100%, it's pretty much required that you beat these fortresses, and often you'll have to beat a keyhole level in order to get to them, and it's pretty hard. They're not extremely hard as far as boss-wise go, but it's pretty difficult. It all depends on how far you are into the game that determines their difficulty, and I've only completed about 2 or 3 out of the 5 I think there are in the game, so still, they're pretty hard. I find them at times harder than regular castles with regular bosses in them, so that's pretty much it. I'd give this game about a 9 out of 10 because of its, even though it's an older game, it's really fun to play, and it's a good boredom killer. And if you don't have a Super Nintendo and you can go to a pawn shop or something to buy it, then I would suggest you do. And if you're broke and can't get anything, then you can download it on your computer with an emulator or something like that, and eventually you can play this and learn how to play it on your computer, and it's a really fun game. So that's pretty much it. I hope you look into my videos next time, and I'm taking requests for videos to review and stuff like that, so if you want to send me a request, just message me and I'll try to get to it as soon as I can. Thanks for watching.